reaching you live from iBrandTV newsroom in Lagos, Nigeria. Coming up, heavy security presence in BORNO State as President Buhari service chiefs visit MAIDUGURI. Governor Wike challenges President Buhari not to shift his duties as Commander-in-Chief to state governors. Crypto market suffers significant losses at Wednesday's trading session. Facebook removes network of fake accounts in Ethiopia ahead of next week's election. Many thanks for joining us on News Now. Here are some stories we are tracking at this hour. My name is Margaret. And now we begin with the news from BORNO State, where there's a heavy presence of security operatives after President Buhari and some service chiefs arrived Maiduguri, the state's capital. They arrived Thursday morning at Maiduguri airport and were received by the state governor, Babagana Zulum. The president is coming to appraise security situation in the northeast, during which he will commission some of the developmental projects executed by the state government. The president will also commission the first phase of 10,000 houses, which he generously approved and funded for the resettlement of IDPs and refugees. And Nigerian First Lady AISHA Buhari has reached out to her political associates and vulnerable across the 21 local governments of ADAMAWA state with empowerment items to mark this year's Democracy Day. She appreciated them for their loyalty, trust and confidence in President Buhari. Distributing the items to over 30,000 persons in Yola, AISHA Buhari urged politicians to inculcate the habit of reaching out to supporters and trusted associates on every Democracy Day.
And also our group, #Actualization Group, is presenting award of excellence to our philanthropy in person of Alhaji Hamidu Alilu Ahmed, who is also the director protocol of the group. So the things, we are also celebrating a 4-year anniversary of the group, #Actualization. So, and we are issuing some other things to the beneficiaries of this group, because Actualization Group as a group, it has its own branches all across the 21 local governments.
We have celebrated Democracy Day around the country, but I'm not so sure if there are other people who have reached out to the community the way she did, because she celebrated this day by empowering women, youth, vulnerable groups and associations. She gave them deep praises for women, especially, you know, this is the season of where people take cold drinks. So these women can utilize and take advantage of the season to start businesses in soft drinks and whatever.
Yes, on Wike says it is unconstitutional for President Buhari to shift the power of security, life and property of Nigerians to the state governors. Governor Wike, while speaking at the commissioning of the 21 kilometers Odufo Akoko Umoye Road in a Che local government area of the state, said such position suggests that the APC-led federal government has lost grip of strategy on how to tackle the troubling security issues in the country.
Mr. President, when his broadcast speech on this June 12 speech he made, he said, "Governor, stay in your state and do your work and stop worrying me." I thank God, Mr. President, no, I'm not one of those governors that come and see Mr. President or visit him. Mr. President should have come out openly and said, "My APC governors, stop worrying me. Go back to your state and do your work. You're worrying me a lot." Let me also tell Mr. President too, yes, he has said there are security issues is left in the state. How about that, President? No be so. The Constitution didn't say that. Who is the Commander-in-Chief? Are we the governor that Commander-in-Chief? We are not Commander-in-Chief. Mr. President, you are the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You appoint IG. You appoint Chief of Army Staff. You appoint Chief of Naval Staff. You appoint Director D. Which one do we appoint? It's not only to borrow money for Nigeria that one person will be in charge. He must also be in charge in all other things. Who signed Order 10? Is it me? Is it governors? So you are in charge. Not when because we are failing in security, you are not in charge. It's because governors' responsibility. But when it's to borrow money, the debt in Nigeria today, somebody is in charge. Let us also be in charge in that one too.
the Odufon Moye Road is a project that will outlive everybody in this place. It's a legacy you are leaving behind. Politics and democracy is not about enriching one or two persons within a community. You can give so much money to your own sons and daughters here, but will that money build roads for everybody to go on? Governor, those who don't like you, they can't leave this road, they'll still go on the road. We should be writing names of those who are in opposition, so that when they are passing this road, they'll go and sign signature there. And in River State, unfortunately, those who are in opposition are so weak that they have nothing to say against your government.
Now, the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Abdul Rashid Bauer, has attributed the unpleasant circumstances surrounding exits of its predecessor to corruption fighting back. Bauer stated this on Thursday while speaking during the weekly ministerial briefing organized by the presidential media team at the presidential villa in Abuja. Asked if it was not concerned on how his predecessors were removed from office, the EFCC boss said there are reasons why occupiers of the office will be considered as enemies by persons whom they had denied the enjoyment of an illegal acquired wealth. And according to him, such persons who had been stopped and made to relinquish illicitly acquired assets always go out to embarrass and get a pound of flesh from the official deemed to have been their nemesis. He also disclosed that some persons had already stated move to tarnish his image, moving around and securing services of media outlets to execute the plot against him. Meanwhile, an Ikeja High Court on Wednesday sentenced the former managing director of the defunct bank PHB, now Keystone Bank, Francis Atuche, to 6 years imprisonment for 25.7 billion naira fraud. His co-defendant Ugwanyan was also sentenced to 4 years imprisonment. The duo was convicted in 21 of 27 count charges against them. Atuche and Anyanwu were sentenced to 6 and 4 years on each of the 21 charges. The sentences will run concurrently. Now, Justice Latifa Okunu said the convicts must make restitution as contained in count 4, noting that the amount stolen was not up to what was alleged in the charge. The judge discharged and acquitted Atuche's wife of charges of conspiracy and stealing. She held that the EFCC failed to link her to the crime, adding that suspicion, no matter how strong, cannot take the place of fact. Justice Okunu convicted Atuche and Anyanwu on counts 1 to 11, 14, 20, 23, 24, and 27. Now, some aggrieved women have led a protest to the office of the Oyo State Governor in Agodi Secretariat, calling for the removal of Lamidi Makwila, popularly known as auxiliary chairman of the park management system in the state. This is following the fracas that ensued yesterday between the members of the park management system and the front sellers in Iwo Road.
Ṣèyí tó máa gbà yẹn sọ lórí ọmọ ọmọ náà tó máa gbà sọ lórí ọmọ ìgbà yẹn sọ lórí ọmọ ìgbà gbà yẹn ṣèyí ọmọ ọmọ ìgbà yẹn láti lọ sí ọlẹ.
àdúgbò tí wà náà ṣe gbèsè lánàá.
ìbọn gbẹ́lẹ́ wà náà gbèsè lánàá. Ṣèyí máa ṣe yẹn sọ lórí ayé akẹ́wọ̀n náà lòlẹ́.
In other news, the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, has announced the enrollment of over 500,000 girls in primary school in Katsina through its Girl Education Project, GEB3, as part of efforts to reduce the spate of out-of-school children in the state. The UNICEF Education Specialist Kano Field Office, Mohammed Montaka, will disclose this in Katsina at a one-day meeting with traditional institutions on establishing local community accountability system, said the organization has surpassed its initial target of enrolling 207,000 girls in focus schools in the state. GEB3, funded by Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO, of the UK is being implemented by UNICEF in 6 northern states of Katsina, Bauchi, Niger, Zamfara, Sokoto, and Kano to support girls' enrollment, retention, and transition in schools. He added that UNICEF, through its Female Teachers Training Scholarship, has sponsored 500 rural girls for a 3-year NCE program in colleges of education in the state, who have graduated and qualified to teach anywhere in Nigeria. And now President Muhammadu Buhari will determine when the much-anticipated National Convention of the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC, will hold. Governors elected on the platform of the party have stated. Chairman Progressive Governors Forum Abubakar Bugudu of Kebbi State disclosed this on Wednesday night after a crucial meeting of the forum in Abuja. Now, briefing newsmen after the meeting, which lasted for more than 2 hours, Bugudu said the chairman of the party's caretaker Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee, Governor Mai Malabuni of Yobe State, told the meeting the timetable for the congresses and national convention are before the President Buhari. The Secretary of the Caretaker Committee, Senator John James Akpandwehehe, has earlier said Buhari, Vice President Yemi Osibanjo, APC governors and critical stakeholders will determine the date for the convention. Bugudu said in quotes, there is a proposal before Mr. President, and once he approves it, the National Caretaker Committee will announce the date. End of quote. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, Ola Supo Ajani, has warned that with the present constitutional provisions, politics may hinder police officers from discharging their duties without bias. AIG Ajani, in his valedictory speech during the pull-out parade held at Oshobo Township Stadium, lamented that crime is increasing while officers' numbers are falling. He thereby called for help and support for the Nigerian police.
These can be uneasy bedfellows, perhaps best kept at a respectable distance from one another. With the present constitutional provisions, the idea of operational independence from political control is not attainable at all. As a police officer, you may promise to serve without fear or favor, but it is very difficult to stay out of politics. Politics has increasingly got stuck into policing, and if you are not careful, politics can get into the way of policing.
The award was Oshu's appreciation of his exemplary performance and track record. AIG Ajani proved clearly that meritorious service is his second nature. When he was posted back to Osun State, this time as the Assistant Inspector General in charge of the zone this year.
Now, Minister of Information and Culture Alhaji Lai Mohammed and critical stakeholders have disagreed over proposed regulations on the broadcast media in the country. This is coming as the House of Representatives Committee on Information, National Orientation, Ethics and Values begin public hearing on 5 bills before the House. The Minister of Information Alhaji Lai Mohammed, while reiterating the importance of regulating the new and social media, kicked against the democratization of international media laws in the country.
The program is structured to collectively analyze the provisions of the bill, namely, a bill for an act to amend the National Broadcasting Act, Cap 11, Law of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, to strengthen the Commission and make it more effective to regulate broadcasting in Nigeria, to provide the payment of all money received by the Commission into the Federation account in accordance with the Section 162 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, and encourage literal openness and favorable competitions in the industry and for related matter.
Section 21B should provide for the Commission the power to approve licenses without reference to other government organs, while Section 21C should be removed. 21B is the one that says the NBC should just be a post office, just to collect applications and not do anything. 21C is the one that says the minister and the, Mr. President, should do the approval. So we are saying that one should be removed. The regulatory body should have the power to issue licenses.
very soon the NBC would exit the number of parastatals that whose salaries are paid by the federal government. In other words, very soon, NBC will need to be paying its own salaries, and will have to pay for all its overheads and all its operations. So if that is the way the executive is thinking, then it will be a drawback if we now pay everything into the Treasury single account.
We'll take a breather there. Up next is Africa News after the short break.
Just make you go buy fresh palm fruits. When you reach house, you go wash, you go pound, your body gonna pay you, even your fingernails gonna pay you. But make una no worry, make una relax. I get good news for now. Una don hear of Banga fresh palm fruit extract. All you need to do now make you go for the open am. Take the amount where you want, put am for your pot. Which soup you wan make? Shey na egusi, shey na ogbono, shey na vegetable, shey na banga. My sister no waste time again. My brother no waste time again. Just go buy Banga fresh palm fruit extract. They go know say you sabi cook and you be better cook.
Banga, come make your food yummy yum.
Distribute. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, on the African scene, the United States plans to increase funding to Egypt in order to help the North African country shift from fossil fuels and embrace solar energy. Making the trip to Cairo, U.S. Special Envoy for Climate John Kerry met with Egyptian officials. John Kerry said to members of the press after meeting Egypt's Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry that Egypt is blessed to be the #1 country in the world for the opportunity of solar renewable energy. U.S. Special Envoy for Climate John Kerry added the world was still nowhere near meeting international goals that were set by the 2015 Paris climate record. Now, Facebook Incorporated says it has removed a network of fake accounts in Ethiopia targeting domestic users ahead of next week's election, which is linked to individuals associated with the country's Information Network Security Agency. Facebook said the network posted mainly in Amharic about news and current events, including about Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and his Prosperity Party. It said the network posted critical commentary about opposition politicians and groups, including the Oromo Liberation Front, Ethiopian Democratic Party, and the Tigray People's Liberation Front, among others. INSA, the agency which is set up years before IB came to power, is responsible for monitoring telecommunications and the internet. And now on the foreign scene, Iran's president appealed to voters to set aside their grievances and take part in the presidential election on Friday that record numbers of people are expected to boycott due to economic hardship and frustration with hardline rule. Hardline Judiciary Chief Ibrahim Raisi, and moderate former central bank governor Abdul Nasser Hemati are the main contenders after the hardline Guardian Council disqualified several prominent candidates from running and others quit. Now, President Hassan Rouhani, a relative moderate, urged Iranians on Thursday as campaigning ended not to let the shortcomings of an institution or a group keep them from voting, an apparent reference to the Guardian Council. The polling stations opened at 7 a.m. local time and closed at 2 a.m. on Saturday. The Interior Minister told State TV that due to the COVID-19 pandemic, voting will take place outside at 67,000 sites across the country with social distancing and the donning of face masks. Voters are asked to bring their own pens. Japan said on Thursday China's military intentions are unclear and its armed forces' rapid expansion is of serious concern. Circumstances that require Europe and the United States and other Asian nations to come together to stand up to Beijing. And Japanese Prime Minister Nobuo Kishi told the European Parliament Security and Defense Subcommittee that China has been beefing up its military capacity very rapidly and they are not sure what the Chinese intentions are. And now NATO leaders on Monday said for the first time that China's rise presents systematic challenges. U.S. President Joe Biden's 8-day trip to Europe focused on rallying support for an American strategy to contain rising Chinese power. Coming up is business news. Now, the country's external reserves fell by $1.4 billion in 2 months. The latest data from the Central Bank of Nigeria showed on Wednesday. The reserve, which stood at $35.25 billion as of April 16, fell to $34.23 billion as of May 31st and $33.85 billion as of June 15. Speaking on the decline in external reserves at the recent Monetary Policy Committee meeting, the CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele said this reflects sales to the foreign exchange market and third-party payments. End of quote. Now, in March, the reserve lost $178 million after dropping from $34.99 billion as of March 1 to $34.82 billion as of March 31. The CBN in its General Economic Report said as a consequence of the lower foreign exchange receipts, the official external reserves declined. And now U.S. stock fell on Wednesday as the Federal Reserve upped its inflation forecast and shifted up time frame on when it will boost interest rates next. Federal Reserve officials indicated that the stimulus that has fueled the recovery from the epidemic will be reduced. The Dow Jones Industrial Average finished the day down 0.8% at 33.67. After the federal government's announcement, the average blue chip dropped significantly down to 382. The S&P 500 has dropped to 0.5% to 4,223.70 by supply and consumer goods. The broad equity benchmark plummeted in turbulent trade by up to 1%, with all 11 sectors at one stage falling red. After a decline of 1.2% at its low level, the Nasdaq Composite dropped by 0.2% to 14,039.68. As of March 2020, the central bank kept the policy goal range at 0 to 0.25% and vowed to maintain its assets by at $120 billion monthly rate until significant progresses on jobs and inflation had been accomplished. The crypto market suffered significant losses at Wednesday's trading session, with most altcoins, including Ethereum, pulling back from their weekly height after the United States Federal Reserve moves forward in its hawkish monetary strategy that will allow for at least 2 interest hike rates in 2023. At the time of filing this report, global crypto market value stood at about $1.61 trillion, postulating losses of over $80 billion with a 6.27% plunge for the day. The dollar index, used to track the greenback's strength against a basket of major currencies, posted gains of about 1% at Wednesday's trading session, its biggest surge since March 2020, further weakening bullish sentiments on riskier assets. The pioneer crypto asset Bitcoin dropped below $40,000, a key support level, extending its losses shortly after Jerome Powell announced that the U.S. Fed will soon tighten the monetary liquidity in the world's most powerful economy amidst rising inflation and improved economic recovery in the $21 trillion plus economy. Still in business news, the exchange rate between Naira and the US dollar closed at 412 Naira per dollar at investors and exporters window where Forex is officially traded. Naira depreciated further against the US dollar on Wednesday to close at 412 Naira to a dollar. This represents a 0.06% decline compared to 411.75 Naira per dollar, recorded on Tuesday, 15 June 2020. To 505 Naira per dollar recorded on the previous day. Dollar supply, however, declined by 23.4% from $172.24 million to $131 million. It ceased on Wednesday. The Nigeria's foreign reserve lost $120.18 million on Tuesday, 15 June 2021, the highest single-day loss recorded since 22nd February 2021. This brings the year-to-date loss to $1.52 billion. And up next is our entertainment roundup. The Nigerian entertainer has encouraged Nigerian youth to not allow the background prevent them from achieving their dreams. Demele Wike, having a chat with iBrandTV BTS crew, narrated his grassroots success story.
As I finished secondary school, now my family house we can't move enter. But all through secondary school, I was staying in my uncle's house. And in my uncle's house, I was the errand boy, the cleaner, the butler, the lesson teacher. I would wake up at 3 in the morning. The corridor of the house is like from the whole of this Admiralty way. I will sweep. After sweeping, you scrub. After scrubbing, you wipe. Then you now polish. My people. And I have to be going to secondary school from there. I remember they threw me out of that house one time. This was midnight when I was writing my junior Wike. They claimed that something went missing in the house. And man, I was brought up never to steal. I don't take what is not mine. But then they threw me out. I slept at the filling station. I was writing my junior Wike at Alagomeji bus stop. I showered at the car wash. And then, I went to school. And then I wrote my exams, 5 A's and 6 C's, with no help whatsoever. But then we moved into our family house in Yaba, and that was the beginning of the tsunami problems that I see. If you stay in a family house and you are alive today, you are a testimony. I was the only boy in the house. Now every day then they beat me for the house. We'll be cleaning, sanitation. All my cousins will gather with cane. Ay, ay, ay. But guess what, guys? I changed my narrative. I rewrote my family history. I broke barriers. I crossed hurdles. And here I am today. I started my hustle before the advent of the internet, way before social media. And you see, back then, if people don't like you, it's not what they do online now that, you have faceless identities, typing nonsense to you. My own, they will come and meet me on the road and they will jack me. So my story is a story of, resilience, determination. And I am a one-man army. Because I had no mentor, I had no guidance, I had nobody to put me right. And you see, I did not get the kind of regular childhood that everyone else had. At a very young age, I started working to also supplement the family. When I finished secondary school, I took up a teaching job. Should I bust your brain? The owner of that school is Joro Olumofion's mom. I thought Joro, hey, Joro, say I go put your hand. Now me write Joro report card. Joro Olumofi, if you all know him, the relationship experts and therapists online. He's an amazing friend of mine. It's so surprising that a lot of people's stories are just attached to mine. And from then on, I got into Unilag. I managed, because I used to do a lot of modeling, acting. I used to dance for Rugged Man. I used to dance for Laura Ikeji. Laura Ikeji then wanted to be an artist because of Linda. I remember the dance because I'm L-A-U-R-A. There are 2 ways to know your personality. 1, the way you behave when you have everything. And 2, the way you manage when you have nothing.
And it's on that note we wrap up news now. Please follow our social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channels for more news updates. My name is Margaret Opara.